Okay. So, Larry, I want to ask you the same question, but I think I don't want to jump the gun here, my assumptions about you, but you would not really care so much about what's happening in the last 3 months. What I learned about you, and tell me again if I'm characterizing you correctly, which I love, by the way, is you're actually very conservative when it comes to the short term. You're actually thinking that the adoption of EV adoption will take longer than most of us think in the next couple of years. But on the flip side, your future of what your forecast is crazy optimistic. It's like more optimistic than most people. And you make these you have these business models that you've shared with me and you've shared with some of us. And it's like the greatest, so tell me if that's correct. Is that how I characterize you correctly?
I call it a cliff. You only have to look at Norway to see the cliff. What happens is that it goes along with the EVs, growing in market share and growing in market share. And then there's this critical mass situation where, ICE just dies. And so we'll see this, measured growth in EV adoption in Europe and North America, and then ultimately in the whole Asian subcontinent. And then all of a sudden, boom, they'll stop buying ICE cars and they'll be left with this disaster. So I see a measured growth. I think that it's going to be a struggle. When I say a struggle, I mean, well, they've had a struggle. I mean, it's been, fighting in the trenches all the way along. I think there's another factor in terms of the current price of the stock, and I think that people watch volumes very carefully these days. They subscribe to Troy and they watch the volume counts very carefully. Troy is always very conservative in the front end, and so people are kind of hedging their bets about the actual count for the end of the quarter, and so that's affecting the exuberance around the stock. So I just put that last thought into your head. I don't know to what extent it counts. But in general, you're right. I mean, I am a strong bull. EV adoption, I see Tesla taking the lead for a whole host of reasons. And I think that it's going to be a flood, but the flood's going to happen very suddenly.
All right. Next topic is price targets, if we even want to get here. So do you have a price target, Larry? And should we even talk about this? And I don't know, should we say the end of this year, say 3 years from now and 5 years from now?
I think 2026 is a good target period to think about serious pricing resolution. I have a 3 to 5 year window where I think FSD is going to mature. And I think that will be very, very material to price discovery. I think actually the bot may be very material to price discovery, and the growth of the sub $25,000 car, and maybe even the sub $20,000 car, is going to be very material. So all of those things, I think by 2026, I'm not saying they will all come to market. I'm not saying, but I think that we will have discovery around their potential and their opportunity and the margins and so on. So I'm looking at a 2026 price target, and my number is substantially higher than today. I'm very anxious for leaps. We're going to see in September, we're going to see the March 2026 leaps. I'm going to be a buyer of those. I'm going to be a very strong buyer of those. I think Tesla move in these 3 to 5 year cycles, and I'm very bullish, very, very bullish on that time scale.
Okay. All right, Xander, you're next. Do you do price targets, Xander?
No, I don't have an actual price target. I think it's going to go up. It's good to hear that. That's a question that I had. It was, are people still buying leaps? December of 25 is available, so that's what I alluded to. I picked up some of those, but I guess I've been really burnt by leap buying going in. So I don't have a specific one. I did have a question back to Jeff regarding Kirkhorn, and this can be for Larry and everyone. Do you think Kirkhorn pressure comes from the potential of selling his shares. Is that a reason why Wall Street would have kind of get out, and that's the actual reason, not the pricing pressure?
No, I think it's more of CFO of the company leaving, or whatever circumstances, the company abruptly. And so what does that mean? And it could mean nothing. It could have been something personal. We're only speculating. Nobody's released any information. But in general, it's met with skepticism, in general, by markets are generally skeptical. So I think it's more of that. I think once we get through this Q3, we see the projections for Q4, we see the new CFO out there, I think things will settle. But in general, I think, it just happened and there's some concern.
Do you have a price target, Jeff?
Yeah, I haven't done multi-year. I've not done multi-year price targets. I'm a long-term buy and hold. I do some trading around the edges of my position, basically, but in general, held the bulk of my position since 2013 when I got in.
Oh, we're all very boring. Nobody's going to give a number. Go ahead, Alexandra, give us a number.
No, I don't give you a number. You remember I did my 10-year horizon out of, top down, where I considered that one part obviously is the 20 million cars either delivered or at least produced. One part is energy, but then double a part is the bots, and the other double a part is software as a service. So actually it comes in 6 parts, and only a sixth of it is car revenues. And that's the one where we had the closest hold of it, because we know current margins. We know that Elon considers 20% margins for the basic car income, the goal line on which they're working on. And on energy, we know that he clearly states that energy will catch up with the revenue numbers, the car sector. Then the two unknowns are how much will the bot bring in 10 years and how much will the software as a service bring. And I think there I will differ from Larry, because he's a little bit more pessimistic on the software as a service revenues than I am. I think that this licensing model, and I think we're getting to that in a moment, is actually going to bring much more to Tesla than Larry's theory. But I'm very much looking forward to debating that.
Yeah, well, let's get there. So, Larry, one of the things that you did that's pretty good was you did a very good deep dive analysis of Tesla licensing their software. You called it 0.5 supplier, a tier 0.5 tier supplier, which is like even better than a tier 1 supplier to these legacy automakers. And then you went way beyond just supercharger, just FSD. You're saying that it's inevitable that these legacy automakers, some or many of them, will actually license way more. When you want to share that with us again?
Yeah, not only license, but also buy actual components from Tesla and designs from Tesla for the whole car, as well as the software. I think that right now, OEMs are buying whole cars from Chinese manufacturers in China because they just cannot manufacture an EV that is competitive to Chinese manufacturers. Well, they can't manufacture an EV that's competitive to Tesla here in this country or in Europe. I doubt whether they're going to buy a whole car from Tesla. But, many, many years ago, Daimler-Benz at the time, now Mercedes-Benz, licensed a drivetrain from Tesla and bought stock in Tesla. If they'd kept it, it would be worth double what they're worth today. So it's not unheard of. So Tesla has just this massive lead, firstly in the software that drives the car as a whole, because the Tesla operating system for the cars is an integral, a single operating system that operates the entire car, not an operating system for the for the seat, and an operating system for the windscreen wiper, and an operating and so on and so forth. So there's a single component There's a single brain that runs the whole car, and every component is a slave or a client to that particular host. So Tesla has a huge opportunity to license this capability or these designs and capability. And then, of course, when we get to the mechanical, I mean, their motors are peerless, their battery packs are peerless, their electrical control units are peerless. So they could manufacture those for other OEMs, or they could provide designs to those OEMs for those OEMs to build them themselves. And of course, they could help the OEMs design the car and the production methods to build those cars. All of that could be a business unit in and of itself for Tesla that could bring value to the other OEMs, but of course, a very, very significant income to Tesla. And, you know, I mean, Alexandra's right. They could license, they could supply as a service many different software services, not only the services that would be an API for the app, but also services such as, you know, training. I think training is many years off though, but certainly, you know, supply the ability to, I mean, full self-driving would be an obvious opportunity to license and so on. So that's a whole business opportunity that, you know, could provide a tremendous income stream over time, but also support, you know, other OEMs to pursue this mission and to become profitable faster and to be able to get out of their ICE vehicle manufacturing. After all, if you increase the TAM of you know, of EVs, you're going to increase Tesla's revenue. You know, just their sale of EVs will go up because the total market that they're serving is going to increase.